Hi everyone, this is Miss P, and today we're going to practice adding fractions. Let's practice adding fractions using the example of 5/9 plus 1/3. This example of adding fractions uses unlike denominators. That just means that the denominator of the first addend, 9, is different or unlike the denominator of the second addend, 3. Every time you approach a problem that's asking you to add fractions, you should look first at the denominators. This is very important because in order to add fractions accurately, you need to find a common denominator. The reason for this is that a fraction is a part of a whole, and the denominator represents how many parts the whole has been broken up into. In order to add different parts of a whole together, you have to be talking about the same thing. You have to be talking about a whole that's been broken up into the same amount of parts, which again is represented by the denominator. So in this case, 5/9 plus 1/3, we do not have a common denominator, so we have to find one. There are a few ways to do this. One way is to start by listing each denominator, and then writing out the multiples until you find a common multiple. For example, I might write 9, 18, 27, and then I might start with my 3s, 3, 6, 9. Now in this case, 3 is a factor of 9 itself. You'll see here, 9 and 9. As you practice this, that might be something that you can notice right away, and you might not have to write out the multiples, but this is always a good strategy to go back to if you're ever confused or unsure. What we've determined here is that 9 is a common multiple of both denominators. Now that we've identified 9 as the denominator that we're going to use in this addition of fractions problem, we have to make sure that both addends are represented as ninths. In this case, that means that the first addend can just stay the same, 5/9. It's already written in ninths, so it can stay 5/9. Now, when we're adding across, we're going to add a fraction that's equivalent to 1/3, but represented in ninths. In order to find the fraction that's equivalent to 1/3, that's represented in ninths, you should take the fraction of 1/3 and put it next to ninths. Now what you have to do is determine what it is that you do to the first number here, 3, to make it 9. And we know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So now that we have that piece of information, we can apply the same thing to the numerator as we did to the denominator. So 1 has to be multiplied by 3, just like 3 was. 1 times 3 equals 3. We now know that 3/9 is the equivalent fraction to 1/3. And so we can put that in our problem and go ahead and add across. Now, importantly, when you're adding fractions, you do not add the denominators. Once your addition of fractions problem is written clearly with the same denominator in each addend, you simply carry that addend over to your answer. Once you have common denominators, 9, 9, your answer should have the exact same denominator as both of those addends, 9. Then you go back to the numerators, 5 and 3, and simply add them together. 5 plus 3 equals 8. 5/9 plus 1/3 equals 8/9. Remember, whenever you're adding fractions, look at the denominators. If they're not the same, find the least common multiple. Rewrite your problem with common denominators, and then carry that denominator to the answer and add the numerators together to get your final answer.